Do you think Trump is honest? There was an article in the Wall Street.
In some ways, no.
There was an article in the Wall Street Journal just a couple of days ago describing the fishy investments from Abu Dhabi into the Trump family. Does this concern you at all?
Of course. I mean, I've been calling this out, I think, before pretty much anybody else. I mean, early on in the Trump administration, I thought this was wrong. If the name were Biden and instead of Trump, people would be screaming bloody murder.
Trump is clearly losing swaths of his base, and one key conservative voice seems to be spearheading the exodus. See, Trump has long relied on a friendly chorus of conservative voices and cultural allies to echo his talking points and defend his policies, and keep his base energized more than anything. This recent development should make him nervous. See, influential conservative commentator Ben Shapiro, once a reliable Trump ally, is openly criticizing aspects of the MAGA movement as a whole, and specifically Trump's decisions regarding him enriching himself while in office. In a recent New Yorker interview, Ben Shapiro, once considered among the leading voices in conservative news media, took direct aim at the internal MAGA movement, criticizing its drift towards conspiracy-driven thinking and rhetoric that he sees as corrosive. Shapiro vocally supported Trump in 2024 after initially backing Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. I mean, he even hosted Trump on his own show during the campaign. And he's publicly objected to what he called the, quote, skeeziness surrounding Trump's cryptocurrency association. And when he was asked in this interview recently with the New Yorker what his opinions were regarding the president enriching himself further to the tune of billions since going back into office in 2024, and whether it concerns him, Ben Shapiro responded,
do you think Trump is honest? There was an article in the Wall Street.
Yes, in some ways, no.
There was an article in the Wall Street Journal just a couple of days ago describing the fishy investments from Abu Dhabi into the Trump family. Our reporter, David Kirkpatrick, who's extremely conservative in his calculations about how he's assessing this, has said that the Trump family has enriched itself to the tune of $4 billion since taking office again in 2024. Does this concern you at all?
Of course. I mean, I've been calling this out, I think, before pretty much anybody else. I mean, early on in the Trump administration, when World Liberty Financial was pretty clearly making a fair bit of money over in the Middle East, I raised red flags on my show consistently about how I thought this was wrong. If the name were Biden and instead of Trump, people would be screaming bloody murder. And how this was not beneficial to President Trump's agenda either. So sure, that
well, not beneficial to his agenda or corrupt?
I mean, both, obviously. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do think that if you are taking, you know, what I perceive to be digital assets that are not particularly worthwhile, and then you have people who are politically interested investing massive amounts of money into those things, that is not a good thing.
Let's also remind ourselves that it's the same Ben Shapiro who once said that he'd never vote for Trump back in 2016. Regardless, the dude still reaches a mass conservative audience. So his shameless flip-flopping aside, it does coincide with a trend that we are seeing that should have the MAGA base rattled, to say the least.
Jeffrey Epstein was supposedly killed. That's on an FBI form. That's not somebody calling in an anonymous tip or writing it on some deep, dark place in the internet. That's an actual FBI file stating what happened. And people are going to have to completely take in what they are seeing with their own eyes, what they're reading, and what they're being told. The reality is the Trump administration is not releasing the information. And I got yelled at by the president over this. This is why he called me a traitor. He called me a traitor because I would not take my name off the discharge petition, because I stood firmly and said, no, we're going to release the Epstein files. I'm standing with women who were raped as teenagers. I'm not standing with the government. I don't support the cover up of all of this stuff, whatever it may be.
And this comes in the wake of another of Trump's once trusted allies, the Wall Street Journal. They dropped a bombshell article describing what they had said as the fishy investments from Abu Dhabi. Yes, this is coming from the same Wall Street Journal that is owned by Rupert Murdoch. And the thing is, it's not just Shapiro or even Murdoch-led networks. The likes of Joe Rogan, who were influential for Trump, endorsing him in 2024 and even hosted him on his very popular podcast, have openly criticized key parts of Trump's agenda, especially recently his immigration enforcement tactics.
It's also very ugly to watch someone shoot a U.S. citizen, especially a woman, in the face.
Right.
Where it's like, I'm not that guy. I don't know what he thought. And again, this is a guy who had almost been run over, but it just looked horrific to me. I mean, when people say it's justifiable because the car hit him, it seemed like she was kind of turning the car away.
But, the question I've asked a number of times today, Ted, is who goes to a protest and brings a gun? I mean, was he not asking for some kind of trouble in that situation?
No, I really don't think so, John. Look, I've been on this channel on numerous occasions where we talk about the Second Amendment and the right to carry firearms. And I've known people to go to demonstrations before in the past and to have firearms with them. He didn't do anything with that firearm. That man is dead. And there's a question mark as to whether he should have been killed under these circumstances.
Now, again, hold the phone. I'm not saying that we should be giving kudos to any of these people for seeing what most of us who have paid attention saw from the get-go. I mean, this would and should be met with an eye roll, considering this was what Trump literally ran on. But again, not here to give them a pat on the back if they've suddenly seen the light, if that's what's happening here, but instead to highlight a trend that we are seeing here. Trump is losing touch with his base and those who were instrumental in catapulting him back to power in 2024, which our own Ben Meiselas had pointed out in an earlier video mentioning some other conservative voices.
Donald Trump is losing his base. The MAGA podcasters are running for the hill. You don't get much more MAGA than Liz Wheeler. How MAGA is Liz Wheeler? She was one of the people who showed up at the White House back in February and held up the Epstein files binder. And she goes, "I've got the Epstein files exclusive." She held it up with all those other influencers showing what they got. And now here's what she posted. Pam Bondi's testimony was a total disaster. In one exchange, Congressman Jerry Nadler asked Bondi some very straightforward questions. How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating? And in response, Bondi lost it. I didn't hear any number. I didn't hear any explanation. All I heard was a raised tone of voice, hurled insults, a flustered demeanor, and filibustering. And she goes, "I don't think the Democrats were acting in good faith," whatever. But she goes, "But Bondi's catastrophic showing yesterday and her entire handling of the Epstein files for the last year are exactly what not to do as Attorney General. You were literally there holding the binder."
So we know Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem sent the torture video to Epstein. This is in 2009. So Epstein was saying that. "Where are you? Are you okay? I love the torture video.
Jeez.
I am in China. I'll be in the U.S. second week of May." What the fuck, man? And why is his name redacted? Why would your name be redacted if you're not a victim? Like, this is what's crazy about all this.
Andrew Scholes, let's play it.
So now that we know that everybody from Trump, Patel, Bondi, Bongino, like everybody that was involved in this, this is just a hoax. We don't have anything. Like they're all on record saying versions of this, right? With the latest tranche, all of that is a lie.
Yes.
Right? Has it been proven effectively that is a complete falsehood?
What exactly is a falsehood?
The statements that this is just a Democrat hoax and this is, I don't even know what that means.
And then you have the Tommy Lawrence podcast and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's play it.
We have the leader of our party and our president attacking Taylor Swift, their favorite artist. That's not very good. It's things like that are ridiculous.
Because here's the reality. Trump's political strategy and success in the past has relied on a loyal media ecosystem that reinforces his messaging. Commentators who defend him when facts are inconvenient is why when he wages a war on the fake news, he relies on those cultural influencers who signal to swing and soft voters that, well, this is acceptable and you should side with him also. Now we are seeing clear cracks across each of these areas, whether it be major conservative voices.
They're talking about how they're working. He says, with the help of tariffs, we have cut the federal budget deficit by a staggering 27% in a single year. And even more incredibly, we have slashed our monthly trade deficit by an astonishing 77%, all with virtually no inflation, which everyone said could not be done. Now, Carl, we wait for a tariff decision from the Supreme Court. He does mention the court in this piece, too. It says he hopes they're paying attention, but he says for now, he's proving the haters wrong.
Yeah. Well, the problem is we need to go back to essentials. Olivia put her finger on it. He's making the same mistake Joe Biden made. Bidenomics is working. That piece in the Wall Street Journal is the economy is great. That's not what people feel. Last year, we lost 70,000 manufacturing jobs. We lost 145,000 blue-collar jobs. There's a great deck put out today by the Washington consultant and prognosticator Bruce Millman. Blue-collar consumer confidence is at a record low since 1976 when they began asking the question. The top 20% of the American population is responsible for 75% of the GDP. The bottom 80% is responsible for 25% of the GDP. The lower-income households are bearing a bigger burden of inflation because of the things that they have to pay for, like rent and utilities, have risen higher.
Trusted conservative newspapers. It signals that Trump's once unified media and cultural support no longer holds such power.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.